Heyo, and welcome to Omnibros Live for February 1st, 2018. My name is OmniDog. I am the host with the most gray hair. So we've got tonight with a special guest, Crushing Krisis. How are you?
I am well today on a sunny New Zealand afternoon. I'm so happy to be with you all again.
We are way happy to have you.
Yes, welcome back, Peter. It is snowing hard here.
In Kentucky?
I'm back in Kentucky. Dude, the snowflakes are like that big. It's beautiful.
And that's my man Omar from Near Mint Condition. It's snowing where you are, huh?
Yeah, I just got back from Cleveland, and I'm like, oh, goodbye snow and sleet. Hello, snow.
I didn't know.
How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're ready for another show. But before we get started, Jess,
yes.
Any words from our sponsor?
I do have some words from our sponsor. Our sponsor is the fabulous In-Stock Trades, also known as IST, where you can get some of the best prices on books, new collected editions and older collected editions. Get them at prices from 40 to 50% off, 30% off, fabulous discounts. If you, in the United States, order $50 or more worth of books, you get free shipping, which is incredible. That's in the United States. You get fabulous customer service. They are also going to, every quarter, going to be giving us a special code to give you a certain percentage off on your order. We don't quite know yet when or what that percentage will be, or when the code will be given to us, but we are working on that. But it will be once a quarter, which is every 3 months, if my math is correct. And we also will be monthly giving out gift cards from IST that will be available to people who are viewing. And all you have to do is have a valid email address and be willing to pay the shipping if you live in Australia or the Outer Hebrides or someplace. And do I have that right so far, Omar?
Man, I think you just read everything that InStock has ever written on the front page. We're good. We're good, brother. Let's get this show on the road. Yeah.
Well, we love
and they do ship internationally, folks. If you are in a different country, here it is in its international mailbag, my last IST shipment. So I have found that they're still the most affordable way to get books from America, and the IST discount is such that it will probably still be cheaper than you buying in country, especially if you're in Australia and New Zealand. So big thumbs up from here too.
Nice. So what? It comes in a big bag?
Yeah, the first time they sent me it in that, I was like, is that because it's full of spiders? Like, why does it need this crazy bag? But I think it's just so it doesn't get wet or anything. It's kind of like a cheapo Tyvek kind of thing. And it's like tied with this little Velcro strap. It's super weird. I don't know where it comes from. It's not IST that does it. It's somewhere in the middle.
Oh, okay. Okay. I get it. Well, we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe tonight because we are on the eve of a landmark movie, which is going to be Black Panther, a major cinematic landmark since, I believe, if I'm correct, this will be the first superhero movie featuring people of color as the main characters. That's a pretty big deal. Black Panther's also an awesome character, so that's the other big deal. He's got a great supporting cast. He's great. I think this movie is going to break huge. I think it's going to be a gigantic box office opener on the first weekend. That's just my personal opinion. How do you guys feel about that?
Peter, you're our guest. Talk.
Well, first I want to note that, we've had some black superheroes in the movies before. We had 3 Blade movies, right, which was really the birth of
Marvel
on screen.
I wasn't gonna correct Jess. I have to put it together.
That's cool.
But look, here's what's really special about this is that it's so thoroughly representative in front of him behind the camera, and that doesn't mean anything's going to be good, right? You can get a crappy movie that's got, you know, a black director and a female director of photography and all this stuff, but indications so far seem to be that it's going to be pretty good. I don't buy any of this movie is the best Marvel movie ever, but we'll get to that. But I'm really excited for it. I love a lot of the cast members, and I think the costume design is like off the hook, and I love that kind of stuff because it's part of the world building.
Right, and I always say, whenever I say something, I believe, because that leaves room for error.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I'm wrong. So
yeah, you never start sentences with actually.
Yeah, right. I never say that.
Never.
I start with I think that this. So Omar, what are your feelings on this particular opening of this particular movie?
I believe. Well, I've seen a lot of people talk about how different it looks and how unique it looks. Other than the all-black cast, I don't really see that, but maybe that's just me. I love the costume designs, as Peter has said. Black Panther is one of the coolest characters that I'm surprised hasn't shown up. Will the character be able to carry a movie? I don't know. I mean, it's the same as it's unique that it's in a all black cast for sure. Like in that aspect, with the exception of like the villain's claw and Martin Freeman's character, the Shield agent. So was he a Shield agent? I can't remember. Anyway,
in the book he was. In the movie, I don't know.
In the movie, yeah, I don't know if they've revealed anything yet. But anyway, that aspect of it I think is unique. That, like Peter said, doesn't mean that it's going to be a great movie at all. So I don't know. I'm one of those people that don't look at Rotten Tomatoes, or, you know, I don't let somebody else's opinion make me prejudge a movie ahead of time. So I guess we'll see. Opening day. It's a Marvel movie, so I'm sure it'll be fun. You know, it can't be worse than Iron Man 3. So.
Oh, we're gonna have words later in the show.
Let's not forget Shaq as Steel. That's when I just pulled.
No. Let's forget Shaq as Steel. And Kazam.
Kazam, right. Well, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a huge universe, and one of the things that I was talking to Peter about earlier, right before the show, was what do you consider sort of the main movie that kicked it off, that got people really paying attention to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the movie that made people think, wow, these are really good movies, and you can sort of build a core around them. What, in your opinion, what was it doesn't necessarily have to be the first Marvel movie released, you know, like Spider-Man or whatever else was released early on, some of the X-Men movies.
Oh, you mean, okay, you're talking about modern movies. What was the one that put comic book movies or Marvel Cinematic Universe movies on the map?
Well, I would say Marvel Cinematic Universe movies on the map.
I think, honestly, Iron Man 1 was the one that, like, right off the bat, they nailed it. I think everybody, like, people that I knew weren't into comic books, like, went to go see that movie and loved it. Of course, I would say Avengers is the answer because it is probably the #1 out of all the other movies that has grossed the most. But the one that I think that got everybody, was like I'm sure everybody at Marvel was like, holy shit, we made the right decision. We made movies. This is good. It's actually doing well. Was Iron Man 1.
Well, Iron Man definitely stinks their bacon because they had kind of bet the farm on the production of Iron Man as their first studios film, and if it had tanked, that would have been the end. But I think what we can kind of forget in retrospect is Iron Man came out in 2008, and Avengers came out in 2012, and between then, I'm not really counting Incredible Hulk. There was Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America. Thor, I mean, we'll get into the movie-by-movie things, but Thor was nothing to write home about.
Wait a minute.
What? Okay, see, we'll have words. But just let's think about it this way. Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, like, we were still in the early stages of this. There was none of this guarantee that it was going to work and we were going to get 3 movies a year. Like, and especially after Iron Man, it took another 2 years for there to be an Iron Man 2 and then another year for Thor to come out. So I think it really was Avengers that sent the message to people like, oh shit, this is a thing. This is a thing that's going to keep happening. They managed to get them all together. And I think before that, it was kind of just very disconnected. And then Avengers was like, it's not just going to be Easter eggs. This is a proof of concept. This is the real thing.
I mean, I think they lined it up way before Avengers, though. They set it up within Iron Man 1, and then, as you said, like laid out the groundwork within the next movies that showed up, even Incredible Hulk with their little Easter egg. By the time Avengers came out, all of us were excited, and I think that's why I said I'm sure the answer is probably Avengers, but I'd still think Iron Man is the one that set it off for everybody. At least people that I remember from my experience, people that did not like comic book movies like Spider-Man or X-Men, they were like, "Man, did you see Iron Man? Is he that cool in the comic books?" So
yeah.
What about you, Jess? What was the one that kicked it off for you, do you think?
I think Iron Man is the one that made me sit up and pay attention and take it seriously. I feel like take it seriously is not that it could actually happen, but that a quality, really good, snappy dialogue type of movie could be made. You could suspend your disbelief, still enjoy it, and I think a lot of that obviously has to do with the script, but I think a ton of it is due to Robert Downey Jr. I think that it not only resurrected his career, but I personally feel like he was absolutely the perfect choice for Iron Man, that it couldn't have been anybody else in retrospect now, and that they mutually benefited from each other. So that's just, I also will say that when it comes to pop culture, comic books, TV shows, books, sports, anything, everybody thinks they're a movie critic. That's everybody in the world thinks they are a legit movie critic. So yep. I'm going to go on record as saying I believe some of my opinions are just opinions. They're not facts. I just want to go on record as saying that I am sure I'm going to like some movies you guys don't, and you're probably going to like some movies that I don't. I mean, I already know right offhand a movie that you guys hate that I liked, so we can save that for later. But I'm just saying,
there's nothing wrong with that, man. As long as we can bust our balls about it, like I don't care. I got like shitty movies too.
I kind of go into every movie just assuming it's going to be terrible. Like, I just think it's funny because there's all this money and all these people making it in the script and then translating it to the screen. And like, my default assumption is that things will go wrong. Like, stuff will fall out. It will just turn into a very average, middling, galumphing Hulk of what it's supposed to be or what it was originally envisioned. So then I get like super excited when something really like hits and is perfection. And I'm okay with movies kind of just being creaky because my default assumption is that it's really hard to do and that it's not a terrible thing if it comes out a little creaky. But that doesn't mean I have to pretend that it's amazing. Which is really similar to how I feel about comic books. Like, people they want to say like an average comic book is so good. It's like, dude, it takes a lot to make this comic book. It's got to be written, drawn, inked, colored, edited, sent to the printer. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's okay if it's average. We don't have to say that it was a perfect 10 out of 10.
Well said. So when it comes to less than... if you've got a movie, since we're sticking with Marvel, and you've got a movie, say like the two Hulk movies that were not well received, can you still get enjoyment out of less than average movies, or if a movie is so bad it meets your low expectations, you can't even get enjoyment out of it?
I mean, why should you have to? Don't we deserve better than that? as fans, as a person that pays, I mean, they don't owe us anything. Going into these movies, the bar. I don't set a certain bar. I don't go in there and expect Avengers every time I go and watch these movies. I expect to be entertained. I don't expect Shakespearean plays. So maybe going into it, my expectations aren't. I don't know. That's a hard question to answer, at least for me. What do you think, Peter?
Well, I think there can be a lot of charming things about a movie that doesn't click on every single setting. And if it's the thing that charms you, it's the thing that charms you. I know a lot of people liked the humor in Ant-Man, and that's why they really liked Ant-Man. And other people were like, it's the boring Marvel movie. But, for some people, the humor is the thing that took it over the line, and it makes it rewatchable. I mean, I don't love the first Avengers movie. I haven't loved it since I didn't even love it in the theater, but I have watched it dozens of times. It's got a lot of things that really charm me. And even though it's shot in a very utilitarian, ugly television way, because that's how Joss Whedon frames his shots, I still enjoy it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess one of the movies that I thought of was like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. They weren't my favorites at all. But I also didn't go in there expecting to be amazed or blown away. Like, I thought the visuals in Doctor Strange were really cool. But as far as the movie, and I think they this is just my opinion, I thought they miscasted Stephen Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, but
did you like it, Jess?
His American wit just did not fly with me, but the way he talked. Anyway,
I loved it. I love Doctor Strange. I see, because I dig that witty kind of banter that he had going for him. Now, I will say also that that's one of the few Marvel movies that I've only seen once. I haven't rewatched it. I just saw it the one time and I enjoyed it. Deadpool's a movie that, to me, I loved that movie, and I have a movie buddy that I go see these movies with, because her husband doesn't like superhero movies and my wife doesn't like superhero movies, so she and I go together, and she loved Deadpool, and my daughter, who's 26, also loved Deadpool. So that's a pretty big age range, and especially because it was women. I have a point here, but I've kind of forgotten what it was. The witty banter, that's what it was. I love the witty banter in Deadpool, and that's what I loved in Doctor Strange too. But to me, I don't know if it was that important to me that it was R-rated as much, Deadpool, as much that there were just one-liners coming at me all the time. And that's kind of what I like. That's what I like about Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what I liked about Ant-Man. Action plus humor equals fun for me. So that's, I believe that's what is a good movie.
Okay. That's, I also like that too. I just didn't think that the kind of American wit that Doctor Strange was using was, I don't think Benedict pulled it off really well. It just felt awkward almost in the way that he was portraying the character. I get it. I mean, I know what they were going for, but to me, it just kind of fell flat.
I don't understand why they couldn't just let him be British. We all love him when he's British.
Yeah! Let him be Sherlock.
Yeah.
The guys, yeah, of course. So, you mentioned a couple of things earlier, like Thor, right? We're gonna get to that right now, because
let's talk about the Thor movies. Thor, in the chat, they're already starting to side with me, at least about the second one.
I think most people can side with you about the second one.
All right, can we all agree that the second one, is it the worst Marvel movie?
I don't know, man. I think for me it was either Iron Man 3 or Thor 2 was up there too, though. So I don't know. I did not like Iron Man 3. I thought it was a waste of the Mandarin character, waste of actors too. But Thor 1, I remember walking out of the theater going, "Fuck yes, that's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe that I wanted back in 1987. It finally happened." That's how I walked out of the movie theater. I'm sure most people weren't, right? Remember the canon He-Man Masters of the Universe movie?
Yes, I vividly.
It felt like that with a budget, so I was happy.
I never saw the two Hulk movies, so I can't say that whether they were bad or not. I just heard they were bad, but I loved that first Thor movie. And I didn't hate Thor 2. I know that puts me in the minority. I didn't hate it, but I can see where it was sort of sleepy compared to the first one.
I've only seen it one time. I remember the train fight scene where he has to ride the train back. That was it. Oh, and then the Ninth Doctor, he was the what's his name, the bad elf. I don't remember much about it. But I still think Iron Man 3 was probably my least favorite. Maybe, I mean, if we're counting modern Marvel Cinematic Universe, not artsy Ang Lee Hulk, right? Not Crouching Tiger, Hidden Hulk movie. I think Iron Man 3 for me still, yeah. Because I actually liked a little Incredible Hulk. I thought the fight between Abomination and the Hulk was really cool. What would you say? What would you say your favorite?
Yeah, what do you
think?
The
problem I have with the first Thor, and also to an extent the first Captain America, although I do like that movie, is like it felt like it nailed the origin part, and then they were like, oh, but we need a third act conflict. And like I just remember falling asleep so many times during the first Thor when he's like fighting the Destroyer in Arizona or whatever. Like I was fine just hanging out in Asgard. Like we could have just stayed up there and I would have been cool. And it just felt like very like third act, just like nailed on to an existing movie. We'll get to Iron Man 3, which is one of my favorites. But in the chat, people have been saying Iron Man 2 is one of the worst. And Iron Man 2 is pretty bad.
it was bad too. That lackluster anticlimactic ending. Oh, I hated that. I'm like, what?
I mean, I think we tend to have positive feelings about it because it had ScarJo as Black Widow out of nowhere and it like killed us.
And they never called her Black Widow.
And it had good Rhodey.
Black Widow.
Right, never, but we knew. We all knew.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I think that like when I think about it, I just think of the scene where she like leaps down, you know, and that's my whole memory of that movie. Like I don't even remember all the terrible parts of Iron Man 2. I just remember Black Widow in the hallway.
Oh, and I forgot Thor 2 had a Hawkeye in it, like the cameo. That was the first Hawkeye.
Yeah, Thor 2 at least was pretty. Like that was it was like it had some really cool visual stuff with them like banging through the portals and like crashing like through different realms as they were fighting. But it just kind of was like as dull as watching paint dry. Yeah.
And you mentioned Captain
we have somebody here who thinks Thor 2 is ugly. So you see, there's no universal standard.
Right. Captain America did something that pissed me off. I liked the movie a lot. I thought it was great. I thought it felt different than any other superhero movie. And a lot of, I guess Wonder Woman borrowed a lot of elements from that movie. But what they did that pissed me off was the Germans were speaking English. That irritates the piss in any movie. That irritates the piss out of me because it's almost insulting to your audience that, you know, they can't read subtitles. I mean, there are not even that many lines spoken by the German soldiers. So, yeah.
That just takes you out of it. It's like too unrealistic for you.
I hate that, man. I can't watch movies dubbed in English. I have to watch them in the native tongue. So that one, yeah, that was the thing that threw me off a little bit. I'm like, come on, really? And then Hugo, you know, playing the Red Skull. I'm sure he could have pulled off a nice German accent.
So what I'm hearing is that the Thor franchise doesn't have a clean record because we're kind of soft on Thor 2, even if we disagree on Thor 1. Does Cap have like a clean record? We all agree that 1 was good.
Charlie Rogers and Jeffrey Roberts both said that Thor 1 was the one that featured Hawkeye.
Okay.
Shorty Larson, you're right. Red October did have a good workaround. And Sean Connery.
Yeah, that was perfect. That to me is the perfect version
the way they did
of dealing with people who don't say. If people haven't seen it, they start by speaking German and then it ends with subtitles and it transitions to English.
Loved it. I thought that was great. If they had done that, I would have been okay. But like I said, that's a small little gripe about a great movie. I really loved the first Captain America movie. I loved every Captain America movie, and they just kept getting better to me.
Yeah, I agree. I loved all the Captain America movies too.
So, out of curiosity, Jess, Marvel Cinematic Universe, what's your least favorite? Because you seem to like a lot of things most people don't. Not that that's bad.
I suck.
No, not at all, man. I think that's great. I wish I could enjoy things as much as you do. There,
Me too.
That's a compliment. Seriously.
Yeah, I am pretty easy to please. I do like to try and see the fun and everything. I think my least favorite. I'm gonna go jump over to Fox. My least favorite Marvel movie was X-Men 1. I thought X-Men, the first X-Men movie, was really hokey. I loved number 2, whatever it was called.
And United?
Whatever the second X-Men movie was, I loved it. But I didn't particularly care for the first X-Men movie. But here's where I differ from everybody else.
This is when the conversation should end. You need to stop talking right now.
And see.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
No, I say it because I want to talk about it.
No, go ahead. Do it.
Go for it. Put it out. I'm going to say a lot of crazy shit, so you just say it.
I like all the other X-Men movies, including Last Stand and Apocalypse. I liked them. I didn't hate them. I liked them.
I'll give you Apocalypse. Like, were you on heavy medication? Like,
I'm always on heavy medication.
When you saw X-Men: The Last Stand?
Yeah, here is what could be the difference between me and the two of you, because the two of you are huge X-Men fans and you've read like everything and you remember everything. So you may have you have a lot more knowledge and maybe a predisposed way of thinking of what the X-Men should be like, where I don't have the knowledge base on X-Men that you guys do. So maybe maybe I'm more of a blank. Well, I know I'm more of a blank slate, more of a clean slate when it comes to those things, because it's always a surprise to me. I don't know how any character is supposed to act, because I mean, I like X-Men. I've read plenty of it, but nothing close to where you two guys are. But I just enjoyed Last Stand, and I know that that's a minority opinion. So feel free to rip me apart.
Oh man, you're free to let.
Uh-oh. You still there?
Uh-oh. I think we might be losing him.
Uh-oh. You froze up there just as you were about to rip into me.
No, I wasn't going to rip into you at all. At all. I promise.
Well, here's the thing with Last Stand. Like, those of us who are X-Men fans and saw 2 in the theater, like, back me up, Omar. Did you have, like, your biggest in-movie freak out ever when the Phoenix is under the water at the end of 2? Because I, like, lost it. I need to be in, like, soft restraints.
Right. I walked out of 3 going, did they? I remember walking out of 3, and my question was like, did they kill Cyclops? Like, is he really dead? Did they kill the motherfucker off screen? They don't do that in movies, right? No, they killed him. Like,
there's just a sense of, like, here's the thing, because after Jess always, I feel like Jess, like, gives me one controversial thing before the video just to get me, like, riled up, and so he told me he liked X3. But coming at it from the perspective of somebody who just wants to see a goddamn comic book on the movie screen, I think X23, yeah, it's a different topic. I think X-Men 3 nailed it in that respect, because it just had a lot of superheroes and freaking spandex killing each other. Like, people want that fully realized on screen, and so few of these movies are like willing to go full comic book, right? It's like, don't ever go full comic book. And I think a lot of us were excited for X-Men 2 because we're like, Phoenix, that's gonna happen, they set it up perfectly. But if you just want to watch a movie with a bunch of X-Men slamming at each other and being in decent costumes, yeah, X-Men 3 is fine for that.
I can't give X-Men 3 any credit except maybe the nice cameo. The nice cameo by Chris Claremont and was it Lane Wayne? Who else was in that movie? There was somebody else in that made a cameo. So at least they gave him that. Oh man, that's I mean, that's not Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that's one of the worst. That's up there, at least for me, with like maybe Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I hate Daredevil. That was another one. But anyway, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, let's stay in our lane.
Let's stay focused.
So now, is X-Men not considered part of Marvel Cinematic Universe then?
I mean, they will be, but those were Fox.
Who knows what's going to be canon? Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
We have no idea what's going to be canon. Everything could be clean slate. So Peter, you said Avengers, huh? Didn't dig it. Like, you walked out of the movie theater not happy.
I remember getting in the car with my wife and being like, well, that was a thing.
Wow.
Here's my look. I'm like I said, I'm brutal. I don't need to believe these movies are good to like watch them again and again. And my thing is like, if you're gonna get to the third act and the thing that happens in the third act is like, surprise, here's a conflict that we haven't been telegraphing for the rest of the movie, then I'm like not gonna say that it was a great movie. And in like, yes, they had a couple of scenes with like Loki and the Chitauri in space, and we find out later he was talking to Thanos. But I just felt like the Chitauri third act of Avengers didn't pay off anything that had been happening in the movie up until then, really, until Hulk bashes Loki. Like, I'm way more into a movie that just pays it off right to the end. And I think Civil War is the perfect example of that. I don't know if any Marvel movie is going to be better than Civil War, because Civil War paid off all of its themes from like the opening frames to the end of the movie. And it's all one big arc, not one arc with like a little mini extra arc when they realized they needed an action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so you
Nice.
feel like Civil War. Oh no, I love Civil War.
Not Civil War. Did I say Civil War? No, that's trash. Winter Soldier.
No, okay. I was gonna say I actually like Winter Soldier more than Civil War.
I meant Winter Soldier. Jesus, no, I retract that statement.
You didn't like Civil War. Okay, we'll go back to that in a fucking minute. Hold on.
I'm so sorry to confuse everyone.
Dude,
no, Winter Soldier. We all acknowledge Winter Soldier's the best one, right? Is anybody going to come out and say Winter Soldier's not the best one?
I loved Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is my favorite Captain America.
Yeah, it's the best one.
Now,
I think it's the best Marvel movie.
My favorite Marvel movie is still Avengers. Like, I love Avengers. To me was perfect, but that's my opinion. I walked out of that movie, dude. I remember walking out of that movie theater, and it knocked the shit out of me so bad. I'm like, I'm tired. I need to go lay down. I need to go to sleep because that movie was too awesome. It was the first time we had ever seen anything like that, where movies came together. Like, we've seen it all the time in comic books, right? But it was the first time in movie history, at least that I know of, where 4 movies came together into one big movie, and the payoff was perfect. I mean, it's just Joss Whedon, witty little banter. I thought that it was shot really nice. The cinematography in that movie was awesome. I'm sorry, Peter. I'm hurting you. I thought the cinematography was great, man. You didn't like that? And I liked
there's like frames where it's just like so mechanical. He does not have an eye for that stuff, and I don't think he should have got a way better DP and had the DP be way more in charge.
Okay. And I thought using Loki as the villain and then turned out to be just the pawn of a bigger villain, I thought that was really cool. So I love that movie from beginning to end. I thought it was great. Like, I think I remember maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe the first 30 minutes, I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, we're already seeing butt shots of like Black Widow, and the characters are acting really weird together. But yeah, about halfway through it, I'm like, oh, this is fucking awesome. And then by the time you get to the end, goosebumps, man, goosebumps. I love that movie. Jess?
Jeff, we're trying to behave ourselves.
Yeah, well, you're doing a good job. You're not going at it tooth and nail, so that's good. Okay, so we're not considering any of the Spider-Man movies then either, because those are Sony. So we're only considering the Marvel.
I think to me, the Marvel Cinematic Universe started in 2008 with
Iron Man.
Marvel, taking a gamble with Iron Man.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think we don't know what they're going to keep. Obviously, they're not keeping, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. They have their own Spider-Man now. So the new Spider-Man Homecoming does count as part of the cinematic universe.
Well, that's good. That was my most favorite Spider-Man movie. Was Homecoming. I will say I'm not going to say it's the best because that's subjective. I'm going to say it's my favorite, which you can't take away from me because it's my favorite. Homecoming was my favorite Spider-Man movie. But I did not see Spider-Man 3 with Venom in it because that sounded like too many villains to me. So I never saw it. Yeah.
I think most people would say that Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie, at least among my friends and people I've talked to. I also enjoyed Homecoming. I thought it was great. There are a couple of things I would have changed about it, but other than that, I thought the casting was cool. I really liked the kid that plays him, Tom.
Yeah, no, I like Spider-Man 2. I don't know. I like Spider-Man 2 a lot. I don't know where in the chat it says you didn't like Spider-Man 2. I definitely like that. That's the Doc
Well, I think they're
Ock
talking
one.
about Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Garfield one.
Oh, those were okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were anything.
I liked Garfield as Peter Parker. I thought he made a better Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire. I didn't like Tobey.
I think he works the best for me out of all three of them. I haven't seen Homecoming, so I only have seen because I have a small child and movie theater time is at a premium. But I think I like Garfield the best as Peter Parker out of all three of them from what I've seen of the new kid in Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But who knows? Maybe I'll see Homecoming and he'll knock me out.
So now that gets us into phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we were introduced to one of the greatest, at least to me, most underrated movie. I was not expecting this movie to be good, and I actually was not going to go see it until a friend of mine was like, dude, you need to go see it. I will buy your ticket, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Like, away.
I know. Let me tell you, that trailer, like those trailers did nothing for me. I'm like, this is going to be stupid. You know, the fake out trailers that they had? And people were pumped about those trailers. And for some reason, I didn't dig it. I don't know why. I think maybe it was just too much of that Marvel wit. Yeah, it's a little too much. And I'm like, I don't know about this. But I went to see it, and I was blown away. I loved Guardians Volume 1. I thought it was perfect, endearing in just about every way. Probably my second favorite Marvel superhero movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I have a hard time choosing between that and Winter Soldier. I just remember being so floored by Guardians, and for me, it was like all of the use of music. Like I was dead. I went with my best friend. We've been friends forever. We're in a band together, and when he does that opening sing along with the Lizards, what is it like? Come and Get Your Love, because we love '70s pop and rock music. We like couldn't even stay in the chairs. We were laughing so hard. We were like sliding out of the chairs, and that kept up the whole movie, but not just because it was funny, but I kind of said this on last Friday's episode as we were signing off. I love it because it's like a singular vision of James Gunn. Like, and also I think we have to give some credit to Nicole Perlman on the script, since the script for the second one sucked so much. Like it was her conception of what the heart of these characters should be, and James Gunn's kind of visualization of what the universe would be like, and it just feels of a piece. Like it just feels like something you could not possibly write by a committee. It was two people with two specific visions, and it happened, and it was amazing.
And I think that's the difference between something like Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers, right?
Yeah,
Avengers is your fucking flagship title. You have to have everybody, put something in. Otherwise, I mean, I'm sure, I'm not saying, I'm sure Avengers 2 had issues, and I'm sure some of it was Joss Whedon, but most of that shit was probably mandated by the studio. You got to have this in there. You got to lead the Thor Ragnarok. You got to throw this scene in there. It's just crazy. It takes a toll on somebody.
Right, well, because it almost becomes like a crazy highway intersection where you've got to reroute all these characters. Here, not so much in the States. Here they have roundabouts, and you just have to you have to wait your turn and jump into the roundabout and know which spoke of it you're going to get out. And that's what Avengers movies are like. It's just like this big old roundabout where all the characters go around and around. They all get launched out to where they've got to go. And if you were to go through like Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and like use a stopwatch to count all of the things that had to set up something to go into another movie, it takes a lot of time off the clock. And I think that even if it's written by one person like Joss Whedon, it definitely has an impact on the strength of the storytelling. And I think Age of Ultron, I don't love it, but I think that's a movie that paid off from beginning to end. Like I think that had an arc, and the Ultron stuff felt real and like a credible threat, and like it was a credible threat for the whole movie. So I definitely like Age of Ultron better than the first one.
I actually liked their portrayal of Ultron. I thought it was pretty unique. A unique take on the character, almost humanizing him.
I audibly gasped when the Vision showed up in that. I had forgotten that he was going to be in it, and I love the Vision. And excuse me, I was with my movie buddy, and we were the only ones in the theater because we go at 2 in the afternoon on a weekday, and I just went, oh, Vision, and I was just so excited to see the Vision on screen. It was just such a cool moment for me.
I will say that I don't know about you guys, but I love watching these movies like opening day or a couple days because you're in there with the people that are going to clap at the same time you are, that are going to gasp and laugh at the jokes like you are, or be like, oh yeah, that's so and so from that's Man-Thing up there on the Hulk on the what's it called, the Planet Hulk movie. I'm sorry, Thor Ragnarok movie. So it's really cool going. It's a different experience than when I go and rewatch movies later on, like with my kids and stuff. It's I like to be
the only one in the movie theater.
Wow.
I don't like.
I don't make that kind of money, Jess.
No, I wait. No, it's not like I buy the theater out.
Whatever. Bieber yelling out all that money so you can rent out the theater.
No, I wait 2 weeks and we go like at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday when there's nobody else around, and that way nobody's going to blurt anything out. I'm not going to deal with anybody's cell phone. I'm not going to have somebody else gasping about vision, because if I had done that in a full theater, people would have gotten upset with me. But I like it to be empty except for me and my movie buddy, and I don't like crowded movie theaters. That's just not my thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind. I totally get what you're saying.
It's that energy that fans feed each other. It's cool, and it might make a better movie experience. Except for X-Men: The Last Stand, but that's the last thing I will say about that.
So look, before we get going forward from Guardians, we never have had an actual conversation about Iron Man 3, which we passed in the release schedule, except for you saying how much you didn't like it. So here's my brief defense of Iron Man 3.
You have a defense?
Again,
okay.
Singular vision. Like it makes sense from beginning to end, all as one arc. There's no like late stage change up, in my opinion. The finale, not great. And honestly, I do feel like it was a waste of the Mandarin, but my fan wank is that like there's still another Mandarin behind the scenes, and just because we're not going to get Iron Man 4, we don't see it. And ultimately, like, I like movies that are about and all art that's like about communication and the breakdown in communication. Like the movie is just him being like unable to explain what's so wrong with being Iron Man, and kind of like needing to have his own little separate journey. And I don't think we got all the way there in the movie, but as somebody who would love to see them go like full demon in a bottle on screen, and I don't think we're ever going to get there, I was pleased that we got to see Iron Man kind of like having trouble with the concept of being Iron Man. So I'm not going to say it's my favorite Marvel movie, but it had some special magic in it that I saw that I know a lot of people just didn't see, and I completely appreciate that.
I don't have much of a defense because that movie is just really bad. I don't know what else to say. I mean, maybe there were some cool visuals with all the iron armors coming in and Gwyneth Paltrow jumping into one of them. Woo.
I liked it. Yeah. I didn't dislike it. I liked it fine. But Tyler Blunt brings up a great question, of course. It's his favorite movie ever.
Oh, gosh. No, Tyler, don't do this. We don't have time for that.
We haven't talked about it yet, Tyler. We're going to let you talk about it because Tyler's favorite movie is, of course, Elektra.
Like, Tyler's such a good guy. It's the one thing on his resume that just takes him down so many notches.
He is like the world's greatest guy, and then
he really is, man. And it's just such a crappy movie. Like, but you know what? I'll tell you this, Tyler. I liked Elektra more than I liked Daredevil, and this is gonna sound really stupid, but I remember during the Daredevil showing, my friends got into an argument with another group of guys that were there because everybody had been drinking. And I remember making the comment, like, man, this is so much more fun than this crappy movie that's on the screen because we might actually get into a fight. And it was during, like, that park scene where they're, like, being really hokey and fighting on the seesaw. Yeah. Oh, man. No.
It's been so long that I think I've blocked most of it out, honestly.
Tyler's saying, I'm sorry that Jennifer Garner is a modern-day Julie Andrews. I love it.
I mean, I love Jennifer Garner. Talking about things I can watch endlessly. Alias, we've watched Alias all the way through so many times in this house, but it doesn't make Elektra good for me.
Yeah, I just had to drop the Elektra because Tyler was in here. I know he's busy with taxes, so I wanted to make sure that he spent his break well. because he
Totally
I'm sure
worth
he
it,
has to
totally
go back to his taxes. So what about the third? We talked about our love for Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was phase 2.
Phase 2. What about phase 3?
Well, phase 2, everything led up to, where did phase 2 end? Was it Civil War? Was that the ending of phase 2?
Technically, I think they snuck in Ant-Man at the end of phase 2, and then Civil War was the beginning of phase 3.
That's what it says
Civil
here.
War was the beginning. Okay. Yeah, you guys liked Ant-Man, right? I thought it was okay.
I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it again.
I liked it a lot because I liked the humor in it. I just love Paul Rudd, and I like the humor in it. And I thought I just happened to. I really dug that movie. But yeah, it says phase 3 starts with Civil War.
I'm trying to think if we missed anything, because we talked about Thor 2, we talked about Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Best Captain America movie, I think, in my opinion.
I think it's the best Marvel movie. I don't know if they're ever going to get better.
That movie was perfect. And the whole time, I'm like, Robert Redford, take your mask off. We all know you're the Red Skull. And it didn't happen.
That would have been great. That would have been so good.
No, it didn't happen. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. That's my favorite Cap movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was I thought it was a perfect movie. I loved seeing that movie.
Michael Pena. I did like that about Ant-Man. I forgot. I did like Michael Pena in Ant-Man. I thought he was awesome. His character was fun.
God. Maybe it's just because I don't like things that are like meant to be funny, but every time he's on screen, I'm just like, bathroom break, popcorn break, doing anything other than watching the movie break. But I don't have a sense of humor. I haven't laughed at a funny movie in like 15 years, so I can't be accounted for.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay.
Wow, what an admission. You don't have a sense of humor?
I mean, no. Like, people try to bring me to funny movies, like, I don't know, like The Hangover, or like, what's a movie you guys thought were funny?
Emoji?
I know, like, something as an adult grown up with a brain that you might have thought was funny. I just don't laugh. Like, I have no... unless it's Clue, it's the only thing I'm going to laugh at, really, that's on screen.
What about
that.
Deadpool? Deadpool was meant to be funny. Yeah, Tolga's asking the same question. You must have laughed at Deadpool.
I appreciated that Deadpool was perfectly punny as Deadpool.
Uh-huh.
Like, it felt Deadpool-y. That made me smile. I don't know if that counts as laughing. I probably laughed more on this broadcast than I've laughed at movies in the last decade.
I feel honored, but it's not me. It's just probably making you laugh.
Yeah, my choices in movies is what he's laughing at. Yeah,
that's really interesting. Do you sit there and say, "Huh, that was entertaining"?
I'm like,
Okay.
Except for Guardians of the Galaxy, apparently. But I think I was laughing at it more because it was like a farce than I was at like jokes, which we'll get to Guardian of the Galaxy too. So Winter Soldier, yeah, I just love it so much. I love the like Black Widow Cap relationship. Like, clearly they've got this thing as like kind of government mandated soldiers who don't really get to have a personal life, and then when they have to effectively like fake a personal life when they're in the mall and she kisses him and they're in the car together, it just like really resonates for me. I think that was like a character moment that we don't really get a lot of in Marvel movies that felt really genuine.
It reminded me of like a lot of 70s like espionage movies.
Yeah, it really
loved that aspect of it. It was a great Marvel movie, and each Captain America movie felt different than the previous one. So phase 3, you did not like the kickoff to phase 3, huh?
Well, let me ask you this. Jess, how did you feel when you walked out of your matinee showing of Civil War? Were you excited? Did you love it? What was your initial feeling?
I didn't think it was possible to get all those characters in one movie and still have each one of them have an important enough part that they would stand out. But I think that movie did it for me. That was I left the movie theater feeling really good about it. I loved the whole storyline. I thought it. Now, I read Civil War a long time ago, so I don't even remember how closely this hewed to the overall reality of the books. I mean, I'm sure it came reasonably close to the books, but see, I have a terrible memory for this kind of stuff. So that's why it's good for, that's why I'm so easy to please when it comes to rereading books, because I'm just like, oh, I read this book last year and I've already forgotten the whole thing. So it's easy for me to reread. But I left Civil War really happy that every single character that showed up, even Ant-Man was Giant Man in it. And I thought that was great that he was able to do that. And then Spider-Man takes him down with the Star Wars webbing or whatever. I left really happy from that movie because I felt like the major characters, of course, were fleshed out, but even the minor characters had enough of a role to make me really smile.
Now I feel bad about saying anything bad about it, now that Just gave that like heartfelt.
That's cool, dude. I told you, everybody's a movie critic. You absolutely have every right to rip it apart if you didn't dig it. That's cool. It won't change my
Omar,
opinion.
you loved it, right?
I did not like the Civil War comic book, and that probably, people probably love that. I enjoy the movie a lot more. To me, it made more sense why the characters were about to fucking get into a fist fight instead of like, hey, we're doing a Mutant Registration Act on superheroes. I thought that was really cool, and I loved, man, that scene, that was pretty powerful at the end with the whole fight between Bucky and Captain America, Iron Man. That was really cool.
It was,
yeah.
The airport scene, I mean, honestly, sometimes a lot of CG throws me off, like, out of the movie. It takes me out, and I'm like, oh, this is so bad, but I didn't even notice like half of that was CG. I mean, other than the fact that the motherfucker turns huge, right? And throws, like, other than that, I'm saying, like, a lot of the background was a lot of use of CG. It was so good. Oh, I enjoyed it. It's probably my second favorite Captain America movie, and it's up there, definitely my top 5 favorite Marvel movies. I thought it was great.
Well, here's the thing. I think sometimes I say that it was trash just to get a little bit of a rise, because it just didn't resonate with me the same way. I loved it in the theater. I was like, oh wow, they did it. Like, I would have said all the things Jess said. And then I like immediately got the DVD. I watched it again, and on second watch I was kind of like, why was I so excited about this? Like, I feel like it was one of those movies where a lot of the thrill was like seeing it happen, and then watching it again, like, I was kind of like, okay, they're gonna fight, okay, they can't make up, which is kind of the same way I felt about Civil War in the comic book and Civil War 2 in the comic book. And so it kind of just is like, okay, it's not as thrilling to me as a storyline as like Winter Soldier, because I just feel like you can like see it coming a little bit more than you can in Winter Soldier, and it's not as fun to experience again. Because a lot of what makes a movie a great movie for me is like rewatch potential. Like, when I say something's my favorite movie, like we're joking and chat about Clue, I know Clue so well that I could sing you the score as I watch the movie, because I've seen it like hundreds of times, and I've watched The Prestige so many times. And Civil War, to me, I just like can't get the urge to rewatch it. It's just kind of like, okay.
Are you comparing Civil War to Clue?
I think I may have just been no, but can both of you say that you enjoy rewatching Civil War as much as you do Winter Soldier?
No, no, because I like Winter Soldier more. You kind of caught me off guard there, because I told you earlier I like Civil War more. I liked Winter Soldier more than I did Civil War. Yeah, I mean, I can rewatch Airplane all day, every day. So I feel you on Clue. I quote Airplane like at work at least once a day. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about, because I work with a bunch of like youngins.
Surely you can't be serious.
Don't call me Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley.
Oh, I always quote the I picked a bad day to stop sniffing glue and stuff like that. Nobody knows what I'm talking. Or like when I'm like, do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever been in a men's locker room, Jimmy?
You ever seen the inside of a Turkish prison? Man, yeah, nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about, so whatever. Anyway.
Well, we've come up through the third arc. We talked about Black Panther a little bit, and why we're excited for it. I'm excited because I love Evangeline Lilly, so I'm excited for Ant-Man and Wasp because she looks super badass in the trailer. Like, she's got all the kick-ass powers in this movie, and I like a powerful woman. So I'm really looking forward to
I can tell by your
Ant-Man and
bombshell
Wasp.
statues.
Yeah, I was gonna say lock the shelf. Yeah.
Definitely being dominated. Okay, so we talked. You really like Thor 3. How did you feel about Thor 3, Peter? Because you mentioned it before. Would you say that's one of the most perfect Marvel movies to you?
Well, see, I still need to rewatch it. In the theater, I think it really worked. I think it was gorgeous. I think it took him to a place as a character that I didn't know was capable for Thor in the movies. I think the cast was great. I think a lot of things worked about it. I'm very eager to rewatch it and see if it holds up for me, because I was very satisfied walking out of the theater.
I watched it twice. I watched it when it came out opening weekend, and then I watched it with my daughter. And I think rewatching it, I appreciated how amazing it looked, but I think maybe the script needed, or maybe the directing needed a little more control, because I felt like a lot of it was open script. Like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. Act a little crazy, Bruce Banner, because you've been Hulk.
Yes, did you get the sense that he was not as good as improving as all of the rest of them, but he was like trying, and they were like, "There you go, buddy."
And I think that could have like a more tighter script, and a director maybe could have helped that part out. But other than that, it was a great movie. That really, that guy took liberty with whatever. They were like, man, Thor 2 sucked. Have at it. Do whatever you want, dude, with Thor 3.
I would rather have these movies where somebody's like, whatever, dude, and we get what we get. And sometimes it has like moments of pure brilliance than like an assembly line movie. Like, even if I rewatch it and I decide like, I do think it has enough brilliant moments that I will treasure that more than one of the very like middle of the road Marvel movies.
Well, I don't think we'll ever get that out of a flagship title, though. There's no way that we'll ever get that out of Avengers 3 or 4, unfortunately. Yeah. Because there's no... I mean, it's a cookie cutter made movie. I'm excited as shit for it, but I mean, I know what it is. I know what I'm going in for. And I fear that maybe Guardians is getting up there to be one of their new cookie cutter flagship titles because of how well it's doing. Like, I'm sure they were just as shocked that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 did that amazing. Because, I mean, we live in a world, like, I've said this many times on this show, that I can't believe we live in a world where more people went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy than, like, Superman versus Batman, or Batman versus Superman. Like, it's crazy, right? Those are iconic characters. You go to any like third world country, everybody knows who fucking Batman and Superman are. Nobody knows who the hell Rocket Raccoon or like Groot are. So it makes no sense, but it's happening, and I think
so. Okay, let's talk about Guardians 2, because that's one of the few we haven't talked about before we get to future movies. I've already said not my fave. What about Jess? How did you feel about Guardians 2?
I liked it. I didn't like it as well as I like Guardians 1. I've only seen it once, was when I saw it last summer. There were a lot of surprises for me because, again, I'm not well versed in the Marvel cosmic universe. So there was a lot of good stuff in there to surprise me that I really enjoyed finding out about. I liked it. I mean, I liked it a lot. I definitely want to own it. I want my wife and daughter both loved the first Guardians, so they definitely want to see the second Guardians. So I think we're gonna watch it this weekend. I liked it a lot. I can't, because it's been so long since I've seen it, 6-7 months. I can't really comment on it critically other than to say I dug it.
Yeah, Philip Evans just nailed it for me in the chat. I want to hear what Omar says, but I'll come back to you in a second, Philip.
Did you like Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Oh, special guest star!
Did you like Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Now go to bed. What can I say? Like, I can't. Like,
we can have an all kids edition one time. It'd be awesome.
So yeah, I went, to make sure it was okay to watch it, and then I took her, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as much as one, but I totally get the whole sense of loss and all that. That was really sweet. I don't know if I missed Yondu as much as everybody else did. I didn't get really teary-eyed about that. I mean, he was cool, but he was like, you know, backwoods redneck kind of cool. So that was cool. I liked all the little cameos by the original Guardians. I thought that was interesting. Don't know how I feel about, was it not Lindsay Lohan. One of the, like, it was like an odd character was voiced by either Lindsay Lohan or Hannah Montana. One of those.
Really, Miley did a character?
Maybe it was Miley. Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I can't remember who it is.
Hannah Montana.
You know, Philip in the chat said that it was like the jokes were jarring and like the tone shifted a lot, and I think that like Guardians 1 and for me had a much more genuine like gleefulness to it, and Guardians 2 felt like a little like callow, like a little like mean-spirited in its gleefulness, and it's such a minor thing, but it kind of like really took me out of it a few times. And I get that it was also because it was kind of about loss and about them, like they're not a happy-go-lucky team. Like they're together, but they've all got these massive problems, and I buy that. But I just feel like it got like a little too shallow. It got like a little bit too mean. Something I said a lot about the first Guardians is that it had very little like male gaze to it. Like even though it had all these beautiful women at points in the movie, it doesn't really linger on like Gamora being sexy. Like it's as much about Pratt being sexy as it is about her being sexy. And I feel like in the second movie it kind of became like a little bit more of like a boys clubby kind of movie, and it was fine. I liked it, but it just like, again, I just felt like it was capable of so much more, and because it like lost that magic that made it so different, it really just kind of bored me.
Because it wasn't okay, because you were already used to the characters, and there was nothing appealing that was new. I get it, yeah. I feel what you're saying. I mean, there were parts that I was laughing really hard at. Mainly, what's his name? The wrestler turned actor.
Dave Bautista.
Bautista, yeah. When he's like, when he's just yelling, my nipples! Like, I lost it. I don't know why. It's not even that funny.
Yeah, he is funny in Guardians too. Yeah. I definitely liked his part, and I liked Mantis too. I thought she was good too.
She was great. Yeah. She was so good.
Actually, we have one quick question that I think we should answer by Biggie Cheese. Which Black Panther comics do you recommend reading to get ready for the Black Panther movie? What do you think? The Christopher Priest?
Christopher Priest for sure. Yeah, he probably had the best run. And I haven't read these in years. And then Reggie Hudlin, president of BET, had a run on Black Panther that was pretty solid. Those are the two that I would recommend. I think they were great. Priest probably the one that highly.
Here's my figure right here.
I love that was a good figures, that one. Yeah. I just had to get her. I had to get them all to get the Build-A-Figure of Mantis because I just thought she looked
Right. I can't reach my Mantis right now without knocking over all the other Guardians, but
So look, I think in terms of Black Panther, like get this. It's if you don't love Silver Age comics, I understand that, but if you have a stomach for Silver Age comics, it's just beautiful, and it's got like a lot of surprisingly modern themes in it, and it's like one of those things that Marvel was special for doing it. It's part of what makes Black Panther special. And like, yes, the Priest one is great. Yes, it's amazing that Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing Black Panther. But if you really want to look at something groundbreaking, like look at some 60s and 70s Black Panther. I'm in the middle of reading it right now, and I'm really enjoying it.
They released a couple of epic runs, didn't they?
Just that one so far in Epic, but then they put out these like pseudo epics, Panther's Quest or Prey or whatever, that collects a lot of the 87. If you look at my Black Panther guide on Crushing Krisis, other than being in Avengers, he was not doing that much stuff. Like he's in Avengers and they do his own series, and then he's one of these characters that kind of gets put on the shelf for a while in the 80s, and he gets brought back in serialized format in Marvel Comics Presents for like the whole first year almost of Marvel Comics Presents, and then he kind of gets put away again in the 90s and doesn't really appear that much other than a supporting character in Fantastic Four. So I think it's one of those characters that you hear a lot of people say priest, because there's such a big quality gap between the Silver Age and just a material gap between the Silver Age stuff and 1998. Then after 1998, he's pretty much been in continuous print in some title or another, even though he didn't have his own title on Marvel Now because he was in New Avengers at that point. But his stuff, it's everything from Priest forward is pretty strong. I don't think any of it's terrible.
So if the movie has a lot of freedom, like say Thor 3 or the original Guardians, you think you will enjoy it a lot more, right? Based on the trailer, it's hard to tell.
I really think Black Panther, they handed it over and they were like, make this good. And I think that Coogler, you know, it always is a hint for me when there's a director who also wrote the script. It's always a hint for me when it's not a roundabout movie where they've just got to get people all set up for the next movie. So we'll see. I could dislike it, but I'm positive hopes that I will like it. But how have we not talked about Infinity War yet?
Because Black Panther comes out first. I
know, Black Panther. It's good. I mean, we all are cautiously optimistic, right? Is anybody not?
Right. So as somebody that didn't really like Avengers 1 and thought Avengers 2... Did you say that Avengers 2 was better than... Did you disappear on this question?
I did say that. I did say Avengers 2 is better than Avengers
1. Okay. How do you feel about the trailer? I'm curious how somebody that, you know...
I'm just afraid it's going to just be like
a... You got to keep in mind, these are the same team that did... This is the same team that did Civil War. So you got to also keep that in mind.
Winter Soldier. So, like, I don't know.
Yes, I think this is going to be Civil War more than Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be like a big cameo go round. And here's the thing. I hope they do something very different than we've ever seen from, like, an Infinity Gem storyline in the comic books. I really hope that they do. If it winds up just, like, aping a lot of beats the way that Civil War did from a comic that wasn't even that good to begin with, then I'm going to be like, eh. But if they really take it somewhere, like, weird and unique and different with what Thanos does with the gems once he gets his hands on them, I will like it.
It really depends on the characterization of Thanos too.
Yeah,
like if he's dead serious, right? Because I'm afraid they might. I don't know if they will or not. I'm just afraid maybe might turn a little Ultron on him and have a couple jokes here and there.
Well, he does make a joke in the trailer. Yeah.
What's he say?
He's like,
this brings a smile to my face.
Be this enjoyable. Well, yeah, like which is like his version of like a dad joke.
I don't think that. You were reading really deep into that. What about you, Jess? What do you think?
I share Peter's concern that I think he said it's going to be a cameo fest. I'm worried that it's just going to be throwing so many characters at us that we won't get enough of a character to feel fully fleshed out from any particular character. I think as much as I liked Civil War, that they all felt real to me. I just feel like it feels like it's going to be overloaded. So I'm just worried. I'm concerned about that. I that's one of the few Marvel cosmic storylines that I actually remember reading. So I do remember a little bit about it. And I'm just a little bit concerned about everybody that's going to show up. I mean, it sounds like a comic fan's dream, but it could just be too many people at the party, and I won't get to talk to any of them with any quality time.
I thought that was the beautiful part about the original Avengers, is that he gave everybody equal amount of time, on screen time. I guess what's his name, Hawkeye, got the short end of the stick there, but I guess you had to have that. I mean,
it wouldn't be Hawkeye if he wasn't a little bit lame.
I'm excited for it. I mean, this is the movie, to me, that feels like, since we got that little teaser of Thanos at the end of Avengers 1, the one that I'm like, oh my God, they're bringing Thanos into this. And now with the maybe endless possibilities of Disney Fox characters showing up, and maybe some Sony characters. I'm super excited. The two guys, they show that they could handle a lot of characters on screen, but this is gonna wear them out. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's so many characters on the screen. Who do you kill? Who do you keep alive? Obviously,
the thing that they're confronted with is like, So let's say you do that thing that these movies do where you like sideline some group of characters because they're trapped in space or they get knocked out or whatever. Then you get all the fans being like, well, it didn't even have the ones that I like in it. But then if you have everybody, it's a cameo fest. And it's like, I just feel like there's no winning. Like there's no way to please. And so it's just got to be so crazy of a story that it kind of washes away those concerns. And I don't know that we've had a Marvel movie yet where the story is like so big and insane that you almost can like hand wave away some of the problems with it because you're like, but the story was so cool, except for Winter Soldier, which happened to be a really good movie. And I actually think the story in the third Thor movie was good enough, again, having only seen it once, that I kind of hand waved away Mark Ruggalo not being able to be improv. So we'll see. I have my fingers crossed.
What was the action figure?
Ruffalo. I called him a Ruggalo.
Ruggalo.
Is that
what
like
was
a
the action
Ruggalo,
figure?
but like for a... This is Nakia from the Black Panther movie, and I just think she's like one of the coolest looking action figures I've ever seen. I just think she looks so cool. So I'm psyched. I got the whole set. I'll be unboxing them soon.
It does look cool.
I'm interested how long the movie is going to be. And I guess Ant-Man makes it out of it, huh?
But they've got to be playing with some timeline stuff because Ant-Man, I can't believe that Ant-Man is doing this like tiddlywinks driving around in a van BS if Thanos is like destroying New York City. So I have to believe that he comes in like towards the end of Infinity War and that then his movie is like, where has he been? Same thing for the Captain Marvel movie, like being set in the 90s. I think Marvel's in a weird spot with some of these movies that they're doing between Avengers 3 and 4, where they all have to kind of like hand wave away what these people are doing because movie fans aren't used to comic fans like we are, where we can watch something and go like, oh, well, that's probably after. We just don't know the chronology yet. I don't think movie fans are ready for that, so they've got to play it really soft on Ant-Man and Captain Marvel to not like freak people out.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these people's contracts are out too, so I wonder how long he can be playing Ant-Man. Yeah, that's another thing too. You know, we get older, so it's like, Jesus, I don't want to go to the gym for 10 hours a day to prep for these roles. I think I want to, you know, do a little TV, little Netflix shows. As much as we love these characters.
I think about that a lot.
People in the chat were talking about who's going to die, and I love it because I'm for that. I want death. I want people in tears.
I think it's got to be Tony.
Mad.
Tony's gonna die. Yeah. There's no way he makes it out of it alive. It's just his character arc. He's gonna die.
You have to kill. I mean, if it leads into another movie, you have to show loss in some way.
But then with Cap, I'm like, we could have Winter Soldier as Cap, or we could have Falcon as Cap. We could have two Caps. All of the Caps. So like, I guess I'm like kind of rooting for Cap to die because I want to see one of the other guys in the Cap uniform. You know, I mean, Chris Evans, yeah. I mean, my wife will be really sad, but great. But I really want to see one of the other guys in the Cap uniform. That's my number one wish list thing is I want to see one of them in the Cap uniform in the next two movies.
All right. Well, so overall, where are you with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How do you feel about it overall?
Jeff, why don't you go first?
You guys have faith that they can pick up and go. Yeah, what do you think, Jess? Overall, Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man, all the way to where we are now. Black Panther comes out in a couple weeks.
I am a person that likes fun. I like that's the whole reason I'm in this hobby. I am a big proponent of fun. I never get why people go on YouTube or the internet or anything and they're super negative about stuff. It drains me thinking of the energy it takes to be negative. So I am all about having fun. The Marvel movies for me have 95% of them have made me smile, and I've had a ton of fun in them. They are a lot of them are very rewatchable. They do have a sense of humor and a sense of style and real heart and poignancy, a lot of them. And I am extremely happy with where we are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I couldn't ask for anything more than to have all of these movies be some level of really good to great, which is what I think we have so far.
Great answer, as always, Jess. You're so you're actually, out of all of us, you're the most optimistic about everything, about comic books.
He's like a Miss America contestant with these answers. It's like everything is so polished. He smiles, the pearly whites when he says it. He's just like...
That's why people like him, man. He's so positive. It's nothing.
We just need to get a sash and a crown for him. See, you can tell that I'm waiting to watch Drag Race. So you know where I am on the Marvel movies is like I'm happy that what they've created in the wider world is millions of people who care about these characters, because that's, you know, it's like one of those things like clap if you want Tinkerbell to live. You know, it's like I want these characters to live in the hearts of people all around the world and not just be a comic book collector who cares about them. And I think thinking back to the first Iron Man, you would have had a really hard time finding somebody really excited about Iron Man that wasn't a comic book collector, other than maybe kids who had watched cartoons, not adults at that time in 2008. And I love that 10 years later, there are people excited about the Wasp. There are people just excited about Doctor Strange. There are people excited about Mantis. It's crazy. And to a point for me, like, I don't know if the movies are for me anymore. Like, I'm somebody who owns this huge collection. Like, I have a very specific conception of what comics are and what these characters are, and I don't know if it matters if I like the movies anymore. I think it's a pleasant surprise when I go into a movie theater and like something as much as I did for Thor 3. But even if I don't like any more of them, I'm not going to be bitter about it, because it's bringing exponentially more people, an order of magnitude more people, into loving comic books than any of the comics can do on their own.
I'd like to see the numbers on that, if that's true. Sadly, I don't agree with that, Peter.
Really?
Because I don't think these movies bring people to read comic books. Like, I would love if that was true.
Oh no, I don't think that they're actually picking up the comic books. I think it's bringing, like,
okay,
comics are
that's what you meant. That's like, gotcha.
It's bringing their like love for the characters. Like, people love Iron Man now. Iron Man as a concept is embedded now. Right. You know, like, it's that thing.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm along with you guys. I am glad these movies exist. I'm glad that they are not going away, because for a while I thought the market was oversaturated with superhero movies, and people were like, "Oh man, not another one." And this is back when like Hellboy 1 was coming out. I remember, some of my friends were like, "No, thanks. I've had enough mutant movies. I'm okay." And I'm glad that they're like Westerns, you know, each one is different. So it's like it's become its own genre where people can now choose to go see different types of movies. And I'm very optimistic about the future. I hope now with the buyout of Fox characters, I'm hoping to see some, like I said, the possibilities are endless with these X-Men movies that come into the Marvel universe. Now like I said, I don't want crossovers or anything like that, but now we can have some proper portrayals of characters or origins that are pretty cool and truer to the comic books.
Okay, well said.
Guys, Stan Lee was rushed to the hospital. They've been talking about this in the chat.
I told him I didn't want to cry on camera about this.
95, man, that's a good run. If only we'd all live that long, seriously. So, hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to take some questions out of the chat and then call it a night, or did everybody say their piece about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how we feel?
I'm happy if you want to open it up to questions for 5 minutes. Do you have that, Peter?
Peter, you cool with that? I'm just got those drag queens waiting for me in another tab of this window.
Is that RuPaul's drag race?
Oh yeah, big fan.
Okay,
topic for another time.
All right, let's get some questions.
Sam Kluxenberg, I didn't know there were multiple ways to say Dark Side or Dark Seed.
Exactly.
I remember when Dark Side first came out, everybody was saying Dark Seed because it sounded right. His seed was
That's
dark.
what I still say. Is it really Dark Side officially?
I think so.
In my head, I'm always saying
the creators, when they're interviewed, they all call him Dark Side or Dark Side. Sorry. You know what? The one that got me before any animated movies or TV shows or whatever was on, like some of my friends would pronounce Magneto instead of Magneto, and that always threw me for a loop. And I'm like, no, it's obviously Magneto, and I don't know why. I had no argument, right? It was like, because that's the way I say it. So I'm glad when like Pride of the X-Men came out, and they were like Magneto, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I was right.
That's great.
I used to always think it was the Submariner as a little kid until the cartoon came out, and I found out it was the Submariner.
Mariner.
I mean, that makes sense. I think only because my last name is Marinari that it just made sense that it was Mariner, because it's like my name is derived from that word. But I feel you on that one.
Let's see. What do we got?
What unannounced movie would we most want from Marvel? And let's not just all say X-Men, because that's easy.
Rawhide Kid. Marvel.
Kid.
Oh, Thunderbolts. I think in like five more years, you get Hugo Weaving and all these guys come back as Thunderbolts or whomever. No, I love the concept of Thunderbolts. I think it's great. It's Marvel's answer to like Suicide Squad. I love Bolts.
Clearly some of these Avengers characters are going to be dead or contracts are going to be up. So after this is the perfect time to introduce something like Thunderbolts, especially if they, I don't know. I know we don't know all those villains from the Marvel movies, but it doesn't really matter because who knew all of those villains really in 1997? Did everybody remember Screaming Mimi? No. So I think you could do it. I think Thunderbolts is pretty close to the top of my list. I mean, a lot of the stuff I was going to wear my Moon Knight t-shirt, but I think Moon Knight needs a TV show. So help me God, if there is not Moon Knight on a screen in the next 2 years, I'm going to riot. He's the top draft picked.
All right. What about you, Jess? Who would you like to see?
I'm not arguing with that. I agree with Moon Knight. I don't want Peter to riot.
Oh, you don't want him to riot?
No. Can you imagine a rioting Peter in the quiet little country of New Zealand? Tasmanian devil. He'd be scorching the earth there. No, I'm a Moon Knight guy. I do like Moon Knight. I would like to see Mark Spector in some shape or form. I dig his costume. I dig the whole concept. I'd love to see it. Yeah, so I agree.
Huh. The Batman-like concept of Moon Knight, rich boy. What was his sidekick's name? Frenchie?
Frenchie, yeah. Frenchie, Marlene the Lover. The new Bendis run is fire. I just read it yesterday. It's so good.
Wait. The new who's run?
Max Bemis? See, I can't say any names right.
I thought you said Bendis.
I wouldn't say anything good about him. No. I
was like, I've read that shit. That wasn't good.
Moon Knight, really, really good. Totally different direction than Lemire, but acknowledges that the Lemire run happened. Really good. If you're a Moonlight lover, don't sleep.
All right. I mean, I'll be hitting that up. Let's see, Jess, pick some questions out of the chat since you're the moderator, and the best one at that.
Let's see. How about a proper Galactus on screen? Yeah, instead of a big cloud.
I'd like to see it. But I don't know how I would feel about a proper Galactus, what he would look like. Like a really big guy with a skirt and a silly helmet. I don't know if that would translate well on screen. Yeah. Want him to look like Unicron from the Transformer movies. Big, giant fucking planet eater. But I don't know if I mean,
they made Ego work, so who knows? But I share that opinion. I'm like, people got all bent out of place about the Cloud Galactus. I'm like, but the Cloud Galactus visually works better. That's why they did it that way in the Ultimate Universe. The whole point of the Ultimate Universe was to be widescreen cinematic Marvel before there was Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, like, no, I don't know if we're ever going to get the big purple guy in a Marvel movie. I just can't see a way that it could be good. I would love to be surprised because I love Galactus, but I don't know.
Now, before we can't ignore him because he's yelling at us as usual. That's John P.
Oh man, it's
What
John
are all
P.
these? He's just yelling out book titles at us. Shadows on the Grave hardcover, BPRD Hell on Earth, Vision Deluxe OHC, Beautiful Darkness hardcover. Now that's a great book.
Hell yeah! I think that was my very first episode. I talked about that. I love that.
Okay, book. Yeah, that was an unusually great book.
Why is he yelling things?
I don't know. He's just yelling out. He's just yelling out book titles.
I swear he gets paid by some kind of publishing company. Like every time he sells a book. Let's see. You want to do one more question and call it a night, guys?
Yeah, let's see if we can get a good one. Somebody'd like to see a Silver Surfer movie. That'd be a good thoughts on Bendis taking over both Superman titles. Is he taking over both?
Yep. It's coming to an end. Our Peter Tomasi Superman is coming to an end, sadly. I wish him luck. I hope
you're not. You're not a Bendis fan.
Really, Jess?
I'm saying that for the edification of the other viewers who don't know you as well as I do.
I have never really liked Bendis though.
I want to soak up this hate and grow more powerful.
There are some things that I appreciate that he did, which we'll get to when we talk about Avengers Disassemble. I wish him luck, and I hope his writing is different than the way he's been writing Marvel comics for the last 5 years. And even as a Bendis hater, like it's just really bad writing. So, I mean, you know, fresh take, dude. I mean, he's in a different world, so maybe he'll be good. I'll read it.
His pull quote, which was interesting in that article, was like, he wants to make Metropolis as interesting as Gotham. And I'm not a Superman reader, so I don't know if there's anybody out there going like, fuck you, Bendis, it's already interesting. You know, like I'm not supposed to curse on this. Sorry.
Have you been listening to Omar? Omar turns out like a sailor.
I don't really know if that is like a valid take on what to do with Superman. I will say that I've never been a huge Superman fan. Not because I don't think there's anything wrong with him. He's just not my favorite character. And I've been inhaling the Jurgens and Tomasi stuff and Gleason. I think it's Jurgens' best work in his career. I think it has so much heart across both books, and it's going to be hard for Bendis to top that. I mean, he's a very talented person who writes a lot of comics I don't like but can respect at least. And it's going to be hard to top what's going on in Superman right now because it's been outstanding. I say this in every live stream. I've never in my life thought I would tell you two of my favorite big two comic books are Action Comics and Detective Comics, but that is where we are right now.
Yeah.
Right.
I look forward to Superman and Detective Comics and Action Comics.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm gonna miss that run. Jess, how do you feel? You like Bendis though.
I have to say that I do like him. It may be because I haven't read a ton of him. I mean, I just like him. I like the stuff that he writes, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just not analytical enough where I dive deep. You know, what's going on behind this, and try and pull apart the stuff. I just look at it at face value and I just go, yeah, I like these characters. I like where he's going with them. I do like Bendis. I'm probably one of the few people that like his Guardians of the Galaxy. I know lots of people hate that, including you. I don't dislike it. I just roll with it. So,
I
did find out why John P was yelling out book titles. He was doing his DCBS live unboxing for us. That's what he got in his IST.
I love that people have their own events in the chat. Like, we're talking about Marvel movies, and John P's like, it's my unboxing chat live with OmniBros. It's awesome.
I love that guy though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Bendis. I think the guy as a person is a class act because I have friends that love him and he treats all his fans amazing. I know people are like, oh man, you got to read Daredevil and Powers Alias, and I did, and they were okay. I mean, you know, if that's your thing, that's awesome. I like a lot of books that most people consider shit. So
See, this is
doesn't
why
matter.
we have a connection. We can disagree about movies, but once we get into comic books, we're of a similar mind.
Yeah, I think I've always felt like that about him. Maybe it's his style of writing that I didn't like. It's very decompressed almost and padding out a lot of storylines. But that's one thing I love talking to Jess about. That no matter what, like he's really gotta hate something, like really, really gotta hate something in order for him to dislike it. Like something's gotta really piss him off, and it's really odd that it's Kevin Smith of all
Kevin Smith's Batman. Ah, God, what a piece of shit that is. God, I hate that
just
book.
to hear him talk about it, man, I love it.
Go to the dark side, Jess.
Oh,
Feel the
God.
power of the hatred starts in your body.
This is where the
Cursing.
fun goes out of my life.
Yeah, I find it funny. Oh yeah, don't get him started on Nightfall. I forgot about Nightfall.
I'm not a fan of Nightfall either.
Good point, Shorty Larson. Good point. I forgot about Nightfall.
Yeah, but I would never bust on Nightfall other than to say that it's not for me, because I get why people like it. It's a nostalgia thing. They grew up in the 90s reading Nightfall. It was like one of their first big epic books. You know, it was a huge, long, like year-long run, or 2 years, or however long it lasted. And I look back at the Silver Age fondly, because that's when I grew up. But I objectively can look at it and say these Silver Age stories don't make much sense. But I love reading them because it's nostalgia, and that's why I think people like Nightfall, because it's nostalgia. And I would never bust on people's love of nostalgia.
And I think that's one thing that I can give Bendis credit for. Like a lot of people's first taste of comic books was the Ultimate Universe, and he's really easy, like beginner. Not saying his writing is simple, but it's easier for a new reader to the book to get into it, like Avengers, which we'll discuss later. And I think I can always give him props for that, or Daredevil. Like if you knew nothing about Daredevil, you can jump in and start reading Bendis' Daredevil. If you knew nothing about Avengers, you could jump in easy and start reading Bendis' New Avengers. Now, that could be because he also doesn't know anything about Avengers, but that's another story.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think Disassembled, I'm not going to steal your thunder talking about that by any means, but I mean, Disassembled is Bendis' keyword. If you look at every single Marvel book he's ever done, it's got some amount of disassembly and reassembly in it. And I think he's hugely knowledgeable. He respects everything that came before, but he's always got to bring his own perspective to it. And when he tries to do something that's like a straight up run on something, he tends to like get very dull. He's way more excited when he can do his like Bendis disassembled, deconstructed version of a thing, and it's hard for me to react to. I think it's books that people like when they tend to come to a book fresher. I think when it's somebody who like has a deep love and like 18 favorite arcs of that character, it's like harder for them to like Bendis, because he tends to take things apart a little bit more. It's just his nature.
All right, guys, last question. Perfect time.
Yeah.
Okay. If Jess had an evil clone, he would go around donating Kevin Smith's Batman to as many libraries as possible. Yeah, that's a good note for us to end on, because that's true. If I was evil, that is what I would do. That would be a downright shame. I would never even donate that book to a library. Those two books. Oh my gosh, so awful. Peter, where can they find you on YouTube and other social media outlets?
On YouTube, my channel is my name, Peter Marinari. I'm doing daily videos right now, including some unwrappings. And tonight I'll be shooting a This Week in X, where I recap all the X-Men of the week and give you some reviews on those. So if you've been agreeing with me about Clue and other things in chat, maybe you'll like that. Everywhere else on the internet, I'm Krisis with a K, Krisis, including my blog, Crushing Krisis, which is 17 years and counting running. And it's the biggest guide to the Marvel Universe, I think, that anybody's got on the internet right now.
It is
collecting the Marvel Universe, that is. Yeah.
No, there's no question that Crushing Krisis is a way of life for people to figure out where they are, what they want to do, and how to get into a series. That is, I always love having you on, because that is, You're an internet legend. That's why I like having you on. And where can they find you, Omar? Actually, before you tell us where they can find you, why don't you say a couple of words about our sponsor before we close the show out?
Oh, sure. Yeah, man. This episode was brought to you by In Stock Trades, where you can find the greatest customer service on the internet. And books, collected editions, hardcovers, and trade paperbacks discounted anywhere from 30 to 50% off, and they have damaged sales, sometimes 60 to 70% off. They are awesome. So check them out. Great to have them as our sponsors. And if you're still here, you can check me out on my channel called Near Mint Condition, and we have an episode every Thursday. So before you watch us, you can watch our new episode if you want to, or if you have enough of me, then check out Jess and Luis's show on Wednesdays.
And you can find me, OmniDog, on YouTube on OmniDog's Vault, and you can find me on Instagram. I just posted something this morning, and by me, I mean my daughter. She posted it for me. That's OmniDogs_Vault on Instagram. And I'm also on Ryleymo's Facebook page, the Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community. Please subscribe and pay attention to all three of us. We love our subscribers. We love our viewers. And we appreciate each and every one of you that watched tonight. And please give us a like or subscribe to OmniBros. And we will talk to you again on Monday. So thanks, everybody. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Good night, everybody.